Hi folks, and welcome into the Truck King YouTube channel. Well, Ford is doing it again. They just made a major announcement on how they're moving into the future, and they're really looking to innovate in the truck segment. But no, this time it's not aluminum bodies or turbocharged engines. Ford has announced that they're going to release a four-door small electric pickup truck in 2027 that's going to cost $30,000. They're going after the low end of the market and trying to bring us a truly affordable electric truck. And we need to talk about it. So in this video, I'm going to break down all the news. We'll talk about the truck, plus some really neat new manufacturing philosophies that Ford has come up with. And then Dad and I will simply react to the news and talk about, is this the right direction for Ford to go, or are they making a big mistake? Let's dive into all of that right now. Let's start by diving into just the new vehicle news. So what Ford has announced is its new universal EV platform, and they say this is going to underpin a family of small, affordable EV vehicles. Now, Ford calls this a mid-size truck, but we expect it to be much closer in size to a Ford Maverick than to a larger Ford Ranger. Ford also says that it will have comparable interior space to a Toyota RAV4, just to give you a sense for sort of the leg room and the overall size of it. Now, the other interesting things Ford did, they didn't give us specific numbers on its truck, they sort of gave us some comparisons. So for example, Ford says that the battery pack in its new truck is going to be 15% smaller than what you're going to find in the BYD Atto, that is a small Chinese crossover, which uses a 60.5 kilowatt hour battery pack. So doing some quick math, that suggests that the Ford battery in its new EV truck is going to be around 51 kilowatt hours. And I'll tell you how that compares, because you have the Slate truck. That is the other sort of ultra affordable EV truck that's been announced. It's not out yet either, but Slate does intend to bring it to market. Well, the base Slate has a battery size of 52.7 kilowatt hours, so comparable. And then if you step up, the Slate is also offering an 84.3 kilowatt hour pack. And with the base pack, Slate estimates 150 miles of range. So I would say that's probably a decent estimate for the base model, at least, of this new Ford pickup, somewhere around 150 miles of all-electric range.
Hey folks, great news. You've seen us pitching giddy-ups before. Well, we ran out last fall. Now we have a whole new supply. These ones right here. Hey, these are the synthetic type. They only come in black in this design. However, these are bargain price, $25 a piece, or we'll sell you a set of 4 for $80. Listen, for anybody that needs a little help getting into their tall trucks or SUVs, giddy-ups can't be beat. So look for the link down below, click it, go right to our website. It's as easy as that. Get these in your truck today.
The only other concrete numbers on that new truck we have are the simple fact that it's going to cost around $30,000 US, and it's going to launch in 2027. So we're still probably at least a year away to seeing a production version. We'll probably see this in 2026. I'm sure there'll be more information sort of parsed out and released in little chunks in the next, year or 2 years leading up to its release. So we'll get more info, but for now, yeah, the basics are small, cheap, and electric. That is the direction Ford is going. And I think the real key here too is it's going to underpin a family of vehicles, and that's why Ford can offer it at such an affordable price point, because there's going to be economies of scale here. It's going to be one platform that underpins the truck, and then probably a crossover and some SUV type vehicles as well. Beyond the new truck, Ford also talked a lot about the assembly process and how they have entirely redesigned it. In fact, Ford says that this entire program was essentially a secret within the company. They set up an extremely small team in California. They locked their doors. They didn't communicate with basically the rest of the company, and they came up with a whole new way to build vehicles. And this is very interesting. Ford goes so far as to call it their next Model T moment, because of course Ford was the company that innovated the assembly line basically as we know it today. And now they're saying that they have done it again. Well, what is this new idea? Ford says that you can think of it like a tree. There's now going to be 3 different branches, so there will be 3 different assembly processes going on at the same time, literally one for the front of the vehicle, one for the rear, and then one for sort of the main structural elements. And then they will move down the line at the same time, and at the end, they will all come together and merge in the trunk of the tree. So this is their idea for a brand new production system. Now, the numbers they released are pretty interesting. They say that compared to a traditional pickup truck, the team at Ford has eliminated 3/4 of the overall parts used. They've eliminated 2/3 of the welds and half of the fasteners. In the electrical system alone, over 4,000 feet of wiring has been removed from this new electric truck compared to the first generation of EVs from Ford. And yeah, those numbers are pretty staggering. So if they can pull this off, not only are we getting sort of that cheap, affordable truck, but they're also going to have a brand new way of building vehicles, which should be more affordable for them as well. One of the ways Ford has eliminated parts is something they call unicasting, which is essentially massive aluminum structural elements of the vehicle, which previously would have been multiple sheets of aluminum. Now they've just made it one massive aluminum casting. So that's one difference that's interesting. Another interesting thing they say is that the battery pack in this new platform is going to be structural. It's actually going to make up the floor of the vehicle and be part of the unibody structure. Ford is also changing up its approach to batteries. With this new platform, they're going to use a lithium iron phosphate prismatic battery. Now, they say this is going to save space, save weight, it's going to deliver cost reduction, and be more durable. Now, I went and looked into LFP, that's lithium iron phosphate batteries, and it is generally accepted that they will last longer than other chemistries and they will be lighter, but it seems that the biggest drawback is they are not as energy dense as some other battery chemistries. So I can't wait to hear more about the battery and especially the range of this battery and the size of it as it compares to what the competitors are doing. Well, folks, now you've basically heard all of the news from this announcement. There's still lots that we have to learn over the coming years. But for now, Dad, what do you think about everything you read from Ford?
A couple of interesting points. The first thing that jumped out at me is that the project manager on this job came from Tesla. He's a longtime Tesla employee. He jumped ship about 3 years ago, and they put him into this new place down in Long Beach, California. And in some ways, the reason they did that is they wanted to get him away from the very traditional old school hierarchy in Dearborn, because what he's doing when it comes to design and engineering is definitely different than anything Ford has done really ever. Traditionally, like many of the Detroit companies, they one step at a time, right? You got an idea, you get a design, then you go to the engineers, and then all those guys take off and they work in isolation. The powertrain guys work by themselves, the engine guys work by themselves, the body guys, suspension guys, power, they all work by themselves. And it's not until they're done with their stuff that they come together and then, of course, discover they have problems and kind of fix and mush and adapt. The Tesla way of doing things is to have all those engineers working in the same room at the same time so that they can look at each other and go, well, does this work for you if I do this? Or two guys go, well, wait a minute, that part you've got there is pretty much the same thing I've got over here. So why don't we get rid of one of these? Mm-hmm. These are really smart ideas, and it feeds into, I think what they've already said is that this new truck is going to have so many fewer parts, so many fewer hours needed in production. So yeah, you know what? That part of it is kind of exciting. Mm-hmm. I like that. Mm-hmm. My other thought to this is that, I love the idea that they're coming out with, this is our new Model T moment. And I'm not sure quite how they want to mean that. For me, what that says is that, as many people know, or maybe you don't know, but Henry Ford was a farmer. He grew up on a farm, and that was his background, and he brought the simple fact into manufacturing of simplicity, reliability, and just long wearing. I mean, this is what made the original Fords and the original Model T such a big deal, because he looked at it not from the point of view of I'll give you what you want. He actually said, I'll give you what you need. And you know what? Millions of people agreed with him. So wouldn't that be cool if this new truck answered that call? We'll give you what you need.
Yeah, and to that point, actually, because my main takeaway here is I'm just happy it's a small truck. You know, they've done the big trucks already. I think that was a boardroom decision. Someone said, well, where do we make most of our money? In half-ton trucks. What do we sell the most of? Half-ton trucks. So what should we electrify? Half-ton trucks. That was never the right place to start, because they're just inherently heavy and they're towing and hauling, which don't work the best with electric. So I'm just happy to see that this is a small vehicle, and that's to your point. The Ford Maverick has already proven this blueprint. Most people don't need a massive truck. They only need a small truck. That is plenty for the vast majority of what people do. So I'm happy to see that this is a properly small truck. It makes sense because it can be lightweight. Everything about a small vehicle and an EV, they just make sense together. So yeah, I'm happy to see that the packaging footprint is correct now, and I think they learned, because yeah, they anticipated the Lightning was going to be way more popular than it is, so they had to go back to the drawing board, and clearly they've done that.
I think this is the right time. It's absolutely the right time for this, and I got a feeling that, you know, if the hype lives up to the actual production, we're going to have something cool soon.
Yeah, I hope so. So yeah, folks, I think that's it for this one. Now, of course, we need to hear you react. So drop in the comments. Let us know. What do you think about this announcement? Do you think it's the right direction for Ford to go, or are they making a big mistake? Please let us know all of your thoughts down there. As always, while you're down below, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member of Truck King, and then come right back here to the channel and see what we're testing next. See ya.
Thanks.